I rescued her from the Atlanta animal shelter almost 2 years ago, right after my divorce was finalized, and I couldn't ask for a better best friend. But back to the dead guy. I probably should sound a little more respectful, but I'd only known the victim a couple of days before he met his unfortunate end. And to be quite honest, in that short time, he'd proved himself to be a major horse's patootie. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm outraged at the thought of a fellow human being murdered. The more so once I eventually found out the why of it. But I'm a bit embarrassed to admit that my determination to prove who had actually killed the man may have been less about justice for him and more about making sure that Fleet House didn't get a rep as a crime site destination. Still, I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night wondering how things would have turned out if I'd simply refused to open my front gate that Saturday morning. But I didn't. And it all started with that darned bus. It was Saturday morning, the first weekend of August. I'd just said goodbye to a group of Atlanta area writers who'd rented the place for a week-long summer retreat. They were the kind of guests I liked, neat, friendly, and quiet. Well, except during the final night's margarita happy hour out on the patio, but even then the raucousness was mostly limited to loud laughter and dirty plays on words. The writers had left first thing after breakfast, leaving me a narrow window of time to clean the rooms and get things ready for the next visitors. For the moment, I was my sole housekeeping employee, meaning that all the work was falling to me. Until the prior weekend, I'd had an agreement with Cymbeline High School's Young Entrepreneur summer program. I would get a few hours of free labor from a couple of the participating teens when I needed the help. In return, the kids earned credit hours in the program. Plus, I let them keep any room tips, which usually had them walking out with an extra $50 in their pockets. But with school about to start in a couple of weeks, the program had ended for the summer. Normally, I could have found some neighborhood kids to fill the labor gap until the school year started up again. The trouble was that all available hands were on deck in downtown Cymbeline, as the following weekend would kick off the town's 7th annual Shakespeare on Cymbeline Square, or SOCS, as it appeared in various promotion. The 3-day event lured aficionados of the bard from all over Georgia, as well as neighboring states. Of course, the town's name of Cymbeline, being one of Shakespeare's plays, was one reason the festival received so much publicity. And then there were various punny Shakespeare-related names of local businesses that tourists got a kick out of. Ides of March Dry Cleaning and Brutus Burgers being but a couple of examples. According to the FAQs on the festival website, SOCS had started as a hokey Renaissance fair designed to boost tourism during the slower hot month of August. But as the organizers and attendees grew more sophisticated, the festival slowly morphed into more than carnival rides, giant turkey legs, and wenches in bursting bodices. Now, under the direction of retired college professor Dennis Joy, it had become an almost scholarly event, complete with authentic craftspeople and musicians representing the 16th century. The highlight of the festival, however, was the nightly performance of one of the bard's plays by an amateur Shakespearean troupe. And, lucky me, my bed and breakfast was the one the actors had chosen for their stay during this year's festival. To be sure, I'd been a bit confused back in mid-June when a woman had called saying she was the secretary of Gasp, and that she was looking to rent out my B&B for a couple of weeks during festival time. Professor Tessa Benedict, she'd identified herself in self-important tones. And then she'd explained the acronym. Turns out, GASP was not some Bondian supervillain organization, but stood